It's time to talk fantasy football. It's time to let them know. Where you let us crunch the numbers while you crush the competition. So grab your playbooks and crack a cold one, because here's your hosts, Teak and Baney.
Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the podcast. Obviously, you saw Badges back. We're going to get back into the swing of things here. I'm going to do your starts and sits still. Next week, we're going to be back fully, both of us. So that's nice. Get us kicking off here. Okay. The Sam Darnold last week. Do I know my Falcons or do I know my Falcons? It was fireworks. Darnold came out, slang that thing. And it turned out just the way I thought it was going to turn out. But we're moving on to next week. Hopefully, we can get another banger pick for you guys here on the podcast. So let's get underway here. First off, this Ravens wide receiver is sitting at wide receiver 13, Zay Flowers, of the season, averaging 14.1 fantasy points per game. Pretty impressive, right? I definitely was going to agree there. So now Flowers has been a model of consistency. In 9 of his last 13 games he's played this season, he's posted double-digit fantasy points. That's kind of the reliability you want from your wide receiver. And this week, he's got a prime matchup against the New York Giants, who've been struggling to contain the wide receiver all year long. So the Giants, they're giving up the 4th most receiving yards in the league. All right. That's an average of 142 per game. That's huge. That's music to our ears of any wide receiver facing them. And I think Zay Flowers is going to take full advantage of that. Now, one thing I did notice, though, Flowers only has 4 touchdowns of the season so far. Okay. He's been a big part of this offense, but he hasn't been the go-to guy in the red zone. Mainly, that's going to be Derrick Henry. Obviously, they're running the football there in the red zone. And that's something that could change in this matchup. Over the last 5 games, Flowers has been averaging 6.5 targets per game. So Lamar Jackson is definitely looking for him. The Giants' secondary giving up big plays left and right. I wouldn't be shocked at all if Flowers did find the end zone this week. But if you got him on your roster, I'm feeling very confident about starting him this week. This could be one of those breakout performances where he not only piles up the yards, but also finds the end zone as well. Give you that little sweet fantasy boost you need for the playoffs here. So if you're looking for like a reliable wide receiver too, or a potential flex option in deeper leagues, Zay Flowers is your guy this week. This matchup is just too good to ignore. And I'm not expecting – and I'm definitely expecting another solid performance out of him. Like I said, even a touchdown. So that's my first one here. Moving on. I'm going to talk about a guy, okay? He's flying under the radar, this running back, but deserves your attention this week as well, okay? I got Chuba Hubbard. Now, Hubbard has been absolutely solid this season. He's currently running back 11 overall, averaging 15.9 fantasy points per game. All right. And I get this is he hit double-digit fantasy points in 10 of the last 13 games he's played this season. That's, again, some serious consistency, and consistency is what we all crave here. He's going against this Dallas up next, but here's the thing. He's coming off a huge performance against the Eagles first in week 14, racked up 92 rushing yards and found the end zone. Okay, that's 20.7 fantasy points. He's projected 19.4 here. So with that fresh momentum, okay, Hubbard now faces this, like I said, this Dallas defense that's been pretty generous to running backs this season. The Cowboys are giving up 3rd most rushing yards in the league. Okay, that's massive opportunity for Hubbard here, especially if the Panthers look to control the clock and lean on their ground game like they should. as well as Hubbard's playing, this is a classic favorable matchup situation. Dallas has struggled against physical downhill running backs like Hubbard, and with the way he's been running the ball in the Rock lately, I can easily see him having another solid outing this week. Maybe even a repeat of that touchdown performance against Philly. Now, if you got Hubbard on your roster, it's time to fire him up. Whether you're starting him on running back 2 or flex play, this matchup is just a chance. Just the chance of him getting this end zone is so high. Excuse me, in my book, anyway. So just make sure he's in your lineup this week because Chuba Hubbard could be primed for another big week. I made the mistake of, hey, Panthers are bad, so I don't know. I'm gonna sit him on the bench and he blows up. So that's the thing where I basically, and if you draft well, where I have Hubbard, Pollard, I have some big time backs. I got Najee's finally coming back together, but I'm sitting Najee on the bench this week. I'm plugging in Chuba, and I'm very confident this week Chuba is going to make a statement for me in this playoff push here. Just no doubt about my mind for Chuba this week. Whether that's, like I said, yards, touchdowns, the whole package, we'll see. And finally, my last guy here. I got Bo Nix. This guy, QB9, averaging 20.9 fantasy points per game. This kid has been on another level, going up against the Colts. Last week, he had 294 yards, a TD, and 2 picks. That's 16 fantasy points there. As you can see, he's projected 21.3 fantasy points this week. So he's going up against a Colts defense that is giving up the 7th most yards through the air in the league and 4th most overall yards in the league. Should be another solid week for Bo Nix. They're top 10 in both of those. That's a sign of a disaster for the defense, and it's looking like Bo Nix is full go on your rosters. People who I would start him over, it's a list. It's a tight list. Obviously, if you're having the big names out there, you're not going to start Bo Nix over those guys. But if you put all your eggs in one basket with Anthony Richardson, I would say, hey, we're sitting Anthony Richardson. It's like a flip-flop favorable matchup where, hey, this Denver defense is solid. We're going to sit Anthony Richardson. I'm going to play Bo Nix against this Colts defense. Something like that, for instance. Like I said, you're not going to sit him if you have the big Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. You have too much draft equity to do that and to risk a play like that for the playoffs. So those are my 3 guys. We thank you guys for tuning in. We are back full circle here. Please hit that subscribe button. It is totally free down at the bottom there. Hit the notification bell so you do not miss an episode. Sit's coming tomorrow. The Badger already had his betting segment yesterday. So we love and appreciate you guys, and on to the next one.